Let's kick off the recording. Right, hi folks. It's Greening and Streaming monthly members meeting for July 12th, 2023. It's been another busy month. We always like to start though with new member welcomes, and this is going to be a funny one. Kristen, who we all know really well. Would you like to introduce yourself to the group because it's a formality?
I'd love to. I'm Christian Bullitt. I work for Humans Not Robots, and so we've updated our strap line recently. We help data-heavy businesses operate more sustainably and more efficiently. Data analytics, observability, looking at power consumption, carbon footprint, and cost across organizations, processes, and workflows. That is us. Lovely to
got that memorized now, Kristen. Brilliant. Excellent. Well, look, so those of you who don't know Kristen and Humans Not Robots have always been tech partners helping Working Group 4, particularly with measurement and aggregating data and so on. So they've been part of the furniture for a long time, but I'm really delighted that despite knowing what goes on and how crazy greening and streaming is, they decided to formally join. So big welcome. Thank you, Kristen. We've got a few other lurking faces, and actually just real early point of order. We had a chat in Working Group 2. There seems to be general approval to start heading towards making these monthly members meeting open access, so that you know more people are interested in greening and streaming and want to see what we're getting up to on a month-by-month basis. There is a general sense of why not, you know, at the end of the day, we're trying to reach out to all those organizations. It's an excellent opportunity to come and hear what's going on a monthly basis. So we've got Doug, who's going to be joining us for Green Stream a bit later. Doug, hi. Well, we'll do a full introduction a bit later on, but he's from CTA. We're delighted to have him join us today. And of course, I think most people know everyone else. If there's anyone who's here for the first time, do please raise your hand or bring your microphone off and say hello.
I can say hello then.
Ragnar, yeah.
My name is Ragnar. I am representing Varnish Software for the first time since Clara, our previous member, is on maternity leave now. So I will be filling in for, I don't know how long. We'll see. See about that. I am awesome. Fairly new to Varnish, but I have a long background in streaming, working with streaming for 10 plus years. So it's a topic I know.
I was fortunate enough to meet Ragnar. He came to some meetings in the UK and popped by, and we had breakfast in Brighton, and we had a good long discussion about things. So hopefully he's fairly orientated, which is cool. Okay, so that's the welcomes and so on. Obviously, June highlights. Sorry, this is the agenda as you can see on the slides. We've done the welcome new members. So June, not June highlights. I haven't updated the slides properly. July highlights. Over June that should be. So the pipeline's still fairly strong. Most of the opportunities that are emerging at the moment are in the operator space. Which is great. It's definitely a space that we've got a gap to plug. Also been having a couple of chats with TV manufacturers as well, and Ben and I in particular engaging one in the hope that we might lure in one of the bigger TV manufacturers to the group, because it's another part of the ecosystem that I think we would all like to know more about, or have more access to more in-depth knowledge. And I think to some extent Doug may help represent that as well. So yes, the pipeline's strong. Obviously the big news over the last 4 weeks was the European event we did in Brussels. I think that went well. I'll ask for other people who were at the event to give a thumbs up, but I think the event went well. I think if there was any black mark on it, we are going to levy a small fee to firm up places for future events, just to make sure we don't get any food wastage, because unfortunately there were quite a few no-shows, and sadly I think for a sustainability focused organization we wasted quite a lot of food that day, which was a shame. So I'm ticking you all off, we won't do it again. But the day was great. We had an excellent presentation from Rudolph, who I've subsequently reached out to and asked if he'll stick around Greening and Streaming and join the volunteer secretariat. He's just talking to his colleagues at Stratix about that, but I'm anticipating that soon. So some good forceful arguments from different perspectives about network, particularly about network energy and so on. And then we had Sandrine Almi-Hersey, who co-chairs the BEREC Sustainability Working Group, who I think gave a great presentation helping us understand the regulatory framework in Europe. But also I think she really enjoyed, well, I know she really enjoyed sitting around through the pre-lunch brainstorms and hearing just the technical shop floor talking amongst itself. I think it was actually very informative for her, and that was really the point of the day, or the point of that interface. So it was a very successful event. The brainstorms themselves are nearly all written up. I think Sam and Arian have got theirs in various forms of draft as well. We'll touch base on that in a little bit, but do have a look on the hub and find the project write-ups as they're appearing, check they make sense, and start to think about getting involved in the lesser called projects if you can. We'll go into more detail on those in a little bit. As always, there's been multiple webinars and so on, actually I think many of you have spoken on panels supporting greening and streaming, so big thanks to everyone over the last few months. We've had a really good run of getting our head above the parapet, and we seem to be getting on the radar, so thanks everyone. Little aside, working group 2, we'll again touch base on this in a little bit more detail in a minute, but we are going to get everybody in working group 2 up to speed with a sort of deck or some messaging, so more and more people can go out and take platforms to represent greening and streaming, rather than, so we can use the serendipity of people being at events rather than people traveling specifically to events. That would be good. Working group 2 has met. I'll go into a little bit more depth on that, but the PR strategy seems to be taking shape. There was a really good working group 2 meeting earlier this week. Come back to that in a second. I think I've had some time to look at budgeting. We're looking quite strong at the moment. I think the next slide shows the financials. We are right at the ebb of the budget. We are using your money hard, but as of this month, all the renewals start cycling. So please pay quickly if you can. Helps keep us afloat. But it's looking really strong. We have lost MQA. They've gone into administration, sadly, and we are. Is Anthony on the call? He's not. I'll mention that in working group 2, but there's a little bit of a change going on in working group 2. Sorry, working group 5 because of MQA no longer existing, and Sharpstream's not renewing at the moment. That's not entirely a surprise. They've got other things commercially going on for them. That aside, actually, the organisation is looking quite strong. We're going to have good budget to invest in the events we want to do over the next 12 months, and we are starting to think about amassing a little bit of a kitty for projects to help grease the palms that need greasing to make projects work, and also starting to think more seriously about how we can seed a grant pot to do our real user measurement, which I think is going to be a bit of a focus for working group 8. As always, a little bit of marketing. If you're not on the app, please get on the app. It's better than the web interface, but even so, get on the web interface if you don't mind checking in regularly. There's more push capability in the app, which helps me notify you when meetings are on and that sort of thing. If you need me to come back to those QR codes later, just DM or let me know in the chat. So let's go around the working groups. Felipe sent his apologies. There hasn't been any progression this month, but he's expecting to have a meeting on the 20th. So working group 1 is just wrapping up the power off, sleep and standby project. I think efficiency is going into the inbox as one of the possible candidate words for discussion next. So yeah, get involved in working group 1 when Felipe kicks that back off in July. Sorry, it's more me as working group 2. We actually have a bit of a project plan starting to form. We've been talking in depth about IBC. There is a possibility that we might have a room space. Lisa's hopefully going to let us know in the next few days at the Rye, but we've also been offered by her room space at the Acura Hotel at IBC. So we should be able to organise a meetup. But we also want to coordinate the space where we're going to actually put our project leads forward and say, this is the event to come to. These are the 4 projects that we're doing with the Less Accord. We know we can signpost that. Barbara, maybe you want to say a little bit more about what you're thinking for IBC, but we can certainly signpost that from within sessions that Barbara's helping to coordinate. Do you want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that, Barbara?
Sure. I'm doing a session. I'm doing a block of time for actually under the sponsorship of the IEEE Broadcast Technology Society, who is a part owner of IBC, and as a result has always a block of time, and they want their 3 hours to be on sustainability. So we are convening, of that 3 hours, we're convening about 45 minutes to 60 minutes of a session where we want to bring together kind of the industry groups who are talking, bring everybody together who are talking about energy consumption in the, I would say, in the media workflow. So I have confirmation from Greening of Streaming to participate. Kristen has agreed to participate. D-Impact will participate. LOCAT, I will know in a week or so if they can. And ITU, I'm still waiting to hear from them. So if we get everybody on the stage together, I think that'll be a really good kind of overview conversation and kind of get into some nitty gritty. Andy Quested, formerly BBC, will be moderating that session. And then I'll support however we can with whatever other opportunities we get in terms of that space. It won't be dedicated to greening and streaming, but more the general topic.
So what we think we're going to do for the Lesser Chord to hopefully get some control over our own programming and we can get some PR about it is wait to find out which facility Lisa can optimally source for us and what the timings are. And then we'll work with Neil Howman and 202 Comms with the PR group that have been helping us do profile and so on to let the industry know that we will be gathering. Let's conjecture that Saturday lunchtime. I don't know yet, but let's conjecture that Saturday lunchtime, and we do our gathering. The project leads will put the projects forward. Hopefully we'll have an open room full of people interested in what we're doing, have some discussion about it. But as the project leads present their sessions, I think the trick is to film it. And we will then, at Barbara's event on Sunday, highlight that those discussions and presentations are now up on the website or will be up on the website in the next couple of days. So anybody who wants to give feedback as that last round of feedback to the Lesser Chord projects before we sort of in earnest start thinking about how to run the tests or actually deploy the tests, then they can catch the videos of those recordings so we can sort of meet all our objectives that way. And it shouldn't cost us a great deal of money. It should be just a matter of, I don't know, a round of beers or something at the end of the meetup. So that's always nice to spend money on that rather than branding. So, okay, so other things going on in Working Group 2, that we've agreed to go ahead with a media policy meet and greet series. So Ben's been doing a meet and greet series with Janet Greco for a while, focused on sustainability. They're very well branded. They quite systematic and organised, and we've been participant through me contributing, through members turning up and so on for a while in those events. We wanted to sort of sponsor something a bit more specific around media policy to help us really research that landscape. It's all new to us, and so we've teamed up with one of the top legal minds that we know in the multimedia space, John Enzer, who used to be from Olswang. And in October, the plan is to launch a quarterly media policy meet and greet session, which will be, we'll have some discussion about ESG, but it will also to cover fair use and other things like copyright and whatever issues of the day are likely to impact on the media industry. There isn't such a podcast at the moment, and we think it's a good magnet to draw policymakers and regulators into a discussion where we can then introduce ESG discussion and so on and so forth as it's appropriate. So that's not a huge investment, and it's a very easy way to build connections across the policy landscape. So, Barbara, you had something else to add about SMPTE?
I have actually reached out to SMPTE and have received a note back that their program is pretty much fixed. Okay. So I'm not sure, but I think that we should still consider having, similar to what we are planning at IBC, have a sidebar meetup with people in the industry. It is just a high concentration of the right people. So it would make sense to do something maybe outside of the context of the conference, but on location somewhere nearby. So we should give that a little further thought.
Okay, maybe what we should also do is, if you're going to that event, maybe Barbara, you could poll on the members on one. Or if you can do polls on the general group in the hub, maybe just do a poll to see how many people are going, and if there's a critical mass, we sort of meet up, Al.
Sure.
Okay, so there's some in the project planning. There's some overall strategy laid out for when we might need to spend a little bit on PR. Neil's extremely economical and very good, so I'm very pleased with what we're getting from 202. And I've already mentioned that I think we'll open these monthly members meetings up as something we put out on the website or LinkedIn or whatever, and just encourage non-members to come and hear what we're up to in these monthly members meetings. That's only the monthly members meetings, I hasten to emphasize. Okay, it's working group 2 done. I'm not sure there's much in working group 3, is there at the moment, Barbara?
I just added, it doesn't really belong here, but since I'm speaking on this topic, I thought I would add it in. So yeah, this group is really for governance and best practices. And so since we're sort of in steady state at the moment, there's not real activity, but I did volunteer to help with membership interview videos. We did one with a TEM a few months ago and then got distracted with other things. So I want to pick that up again. I've reached out to, and I'm going to do them in the order more or less of your membership status or your membership with Agreeing of streaming. So several of you received an email from me yesterday about starting to schedule these. They're meant to be 30-minute-ish videos, very simple via Zoom. Simply answer a few questions about what the state of streaming is in terms of sustainability and all of that. And then a few questions around why you think Agreeing of Streaming is a good organization. And these videos will then be used for vlog posting and other mechanisms to continue to promote the organization and you as a member of the organization. So we're starting at the top of the list and we'll work our way down. I'm trying to do one a week, and then we can start publishing them with some regularity. So please keep a lookout. And if you can't make any of those dates, just hang tight. I will get to you shortly.
Cool. Thanks, Barbara. Brilliant. Julien, working group 4.
Yeah. Hello. So this month, mostly I discussed with Christian from Human Robots to explain how we did the last measurements at ATEM for the Eurovision Song Contest. So in this data, we have average power consumptions in watts, but also we have repartition keys like the estimated percentage of CPU for the encoder part and the percentage of output bitrate for each server of the CDN. So we discussed about the format we can have to ingest this data in the Human Robots interface. So the ingestion will be in the next month, and we'll see the result after that. So we still need other measurements from the members. So every time I say that, but if you have some data from this event or from the past events we measured, please reach to me and we'll see what we can do with the data. So that's all for me for now. You're muted, Deb.
Sorry, too many buttons at the same time. Just grabbing Anthony's update. He emailed me with an apology that he couldn't make it. He is, he's so a bit of sort of sad news. Those of you that might know Sarah Matthews, who is running the working group 5, she's unfortunately, not only has MQA had its own commercial challenges, but poor girl's got a rather nasty type of blood cancer, I'm afraid to announce. So Anthony knows her personally, and we are, as a group, going to send some books or something as a bit of a gesture of goodwill to her. But there's been a bit of that's caused a bit of a loss of steam in working group 5, needless to say. So we'll update you more on working group 5 next month. Sorry about that sad news, but I'm sure Sarah knows we're thinking of her. Sam, working group 6.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Yeah, aside from the excellent event in Brussels, I mean, in the run-up to that, we were doing some preparation for the brainstorming stuff. But yeah, since then, I've had a particularly busy few weeks with the day job, so I'm a little behind on drafting the project 2 compression sort of outline, the compression project outline. But that I am going to get that going shortly, because otherwise it's getting far too late. And then I will put a meeting in for working group 6 to hopefully try and review that. I think it should be quite a lot of it will be based on the original scope and methodology, which was some of that was kind of covering the compression topic more. I think, yeah, adding in some of the ideas we got in Brussels into the scope of it. So hopefully it shouldn't take too long to get an initial draft together. And aside from that, I think, I guess we'll be looking at trying to find contributors to help with the testing project post IVC.
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. Awesome. Christoph, working group 7.
Yeah, hello.
Hey.
So working group 7, not much to report since last month. So we have this white paper that is ready. We've sent it to SVTH, which Jason, he had a look at it, but they didn't give further feedback. So I guess I will contact him again to have an update on that. And yeah, maybe we should circulate to other groups. So I heard that there's someone from CTA on that call.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just pass this document to, it's Doug, right?
Yeah.
To Doug, and yeah, to discuss what we do with this, and if we can, if CTA could be a group that can handle this.
That's a good idea, Christoph. Yeah, brilliant. I'll connect you both on email afterwards, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Let me just make a little note, Doug. Okay, cool, brilliant. I'll do that straight after the call. Thanks, Christoph. That's cool. Yeah, we'll chase up JT as well. Of course, Ben, working group 8's been busy. Over to Ben. Remember, we've got to fit Doug in. We've only got 35 minutes.
Okay, that'll be really quick then. I wrote this 2 days ago, but since we've had our second meeting, so all that's here is true. We've had some initial feedback from, not yet from the DIMPACT study, but more from the data that was fed into the DIMPACT study. So I'm eagerly anticipating feedback from DIMPACT themselves. So yeah, the working group is all about the end user device. It was exciting. Our last meeting, we saw our first actual watts on some charts, so, typical TV, modern TVs are above 100 watts typically, all inclusive. And one of our jobs is to work out what that actually means. How much is the actual pixels versus the processing and stuff like that. We've got loads and, we've got more work to do than we could do in the next 5 years. So we're working on fixing it down. News for you, Dom, we confirmed we would like to launch the purchase order, whatever you need to do to
Brilliant.
buy some of those devices. So we would like 5 with EU sockets and 3 with UK sockets, if you could order that.
Any US?
Well, I don't believe you said they probably weren't US sockets, but we didn't have anybody ask for any.
Yeah, we didn't have a US working group 8 member at that point, but Tim's got his hand out.
Yeah, I've got 25 of them.
We need to check the model. We need ones that will talk with a specific API and so on. So that's fine. It's very important. What we're trying to do is get the same plug out to all the measurement companies, because everyone's using different systems at the moment.
We've got them from 6 different systems. So if you'll tell me which one, I can tell you what we've got.
Okay.
I
mean, the 2 issues is we need to have compatible measurements from the hardware that, how they respond to milliwatts, watts, whatever. It's not hugely precise, but have the same approach. And then as Dom says, be compatible API wise to feed data to a central database without us having to, feed through Excel spreadsheets and update and whatever.
No.
I mean, if we have to, we will, but anyway.
No, we won't.
Yeah.
What computers are for?
Yes, so I won't go through it now. We don't have time, but we went through the precision we need. We went through the specifics of those measuring devices. And yeah, I mean, in the interest of time, you've got the upshot there. Our next meeting is actually next week because a lot of us are going to be on holiday. So it's next. Let me just give you the date, and I will obviously. The thing I don't know is, should I actually send everything to members, because then we'll sort of start spamming each other. If there's 9 working groups. If everybody sends everything to members, I'm just a bit concerned about that. When I get the minutes done, hopefully tonight or tomorrow.
Well, ideally, if you need to do anything, send a note every now and then saying I've put notes on the hub here and put a set of links in, so you get a sort of digest of what you've done. But really, the hub is the space, and the hub should notify everyone as they want, because you can set your own. The hub is the place to concentrate things. Really, members is global notices and meetings.
So for the Americans among us, we chose a US friendly time. So Barbara, if you're free, everybody, it's July the 18th at so it'll be 5:30 British Standard Time. That's 6:30, 18:30 CET, which would be noon Eastern Time and 9:30 in the morning West Coast. That is July the 18th next week.
Awesome.
And this
Ben,
is
could you? Sorry, Barbara, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is 8, right?
Yes.
This is working group 8, because I think there's a conflict with the breadcrumbs project group.
No, normally we're just
on the 18th.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Anyway, we'll take that offline.
We did it carefully to have it just after the breadcrumb project. It's way after there's a.
It's 9:30.
Yeah, it's 2 hours after the start of the breadcrumb project.
Once you send the invite, I'll plug it into the diary. It'll highlight the conflict if there is.
Yeah. And I'm hoping to join your these meetings too, Ben.
Great. Okay.
Cool. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Click the right window. Let's go. I'm meeting Adam next week, and I'm going to hustle him because Mark is itching to get working group 9 into order. That he's waiting for a dump of the academic contacts from Adam because he sort of left them all parked. But a little bit of a communications breakdown there. Yes. So I will be pushing working group 9 next week, and hopefully there'll be an update next month. Any other business? I feel like we've sort of skirted around what's going on with the Lesser Chord. Just to be clear, the Lesser Chord hasn't got a specific project by project space in the hub yet. I'm just worried about there being too many rabbit holes to get lost down. So there is one general discussion group for the Lesser Chord at the moment, and we'll break that out as discussions get thick and sort of too convoluted. At the moment, the work going on is there's 4 papers, one for each Lesser Chord project already in circulation. You can find them on the forum on the hub. Do go and have a look if you can. I'm not sure if Sam's isn't up there yet, but I think Ariane's is in draft up there. My 2 are up there. So go and have a look at those. I have a project lead lining up who will be joining to pull project 1 forward. It's certainly full-time by October, but might be sort of inching in by September. He's just in the process of retiring, which is a bit of a clue for some of you. So he's going to be a very good project lead for project 1, and I have a candidate for project 4 as well. So project leads seem to be fairly complete, which is good. My hope is to get everybody sort of up and running, sourcing their sort of starting to rough out their teams and sketch the slides to present at IBC in the next by the end of this month. I'm going to be on email only through August. I'm going to ask Barbara to run next month's monthly members meeting. So I will be in the wings, but I'm going to take a bit of time to catch up with the other day job. But I'll be across email, and the next meeting's on August the 9th. I think there will be one just before IBC, on online meeting, but that's always a bit complicated timing wise. So anyone got anything else they'd like to add that we've missed? Look at that, we've got around everything. I thought it was going to take longer than that today. That's great. Cool. I'm going to stop the recording and then start it again in a second to create a break.